I am Clara Jameson, a 42-year-old woman living in the quaint little town of Chesterton, Indiana. To most, I might seem like just another average person, but beneath my calm demeanor lies an unwavering spirit. I am a mother of two and a devoted wife who takes pride in finding joy in the little things: gardening, baking, and tending to my family. However, in recent months, I had been increasingly frustrated by the relentless string of telemarketers that bombarded my phone daily, each time trying to sell me something I neither wanted nor needed. It felt like they were invading my life, making me feel powerless in my own home. Just a couple of days ago, I received a call that made my skin crawl. A man claiming to work for TELUS, a phone company I had long abandoned, informed me that I could save 40% on my monthly bill. The moment I heard him say those words, my sixth sense kicked in. This was a scam, and I knew it. I asked him for confirmation of my monthly bill, stating, "If you work for TELUS, you would already know that." Dismissively, he hung up, and I felt a fleeting sense of satisfaction. But that vanished quickly, for within the hour, my phone rang again with the same irritating offer, but this time it was a different guy. Before I finished explaining I wanted my number removed, he taunted me with an obnoxious, "Nana Nana Nana" in a mocking manner before also hanging up. I felt a fire ignite within me that was both exciting and infuriating. I was done being a passive victim in this ongoing joke at my expense. I wanted payback, a way to make these obnoxious callers feel as frustrated as I did. So I waited. The very next day, my patience was rewarded. My phone rang, displaying the same number. I gulped down my rising anticipation and answered. I had a plan. I would waste their time. The same spiel began again, and I played along, feigning interest in their ridiculous offer of a discount. When he asked for my monthly bill, I calmly stated $2.15. I could hear his confusion over the line. "That cannot be correct. You need to have at least $20 to qualify." I could not suppress my mischievous grin. "Oh, I must have missed my previous bill. Let me check that. Last month, I believe my bill was $42, and as a senior, I qualify for a free new iPhone," I said, reveling in the absurdity. I told him my date of birth was August 17th, 1901. His reaction was priceless. He hesitated, trying to reconcile the fact that he was speaking to someone who claimed to be over 100 years old. How could he not see the red flags waving? My giggles bubbled within me, but I kept a straight face. Then the insanity escalated. When he requested my email address, I decided to have some fun. I confidently stated, "Let me spell it for you. manmeetbaldeep@gmail.com. I could hear it in his voice, the frustration building as he struggled with my ridiculous name. "That is not a valid email," he informed me sternly. "Well, your systems must be wrong," I replied, unable to contain the grin on my face. Then came the request for my credit card number. I glanced at the barcode of my Pepsi can sitting on the table beside me and read it off to him. "Okay, I would really appreciate it if you could provide your driver's license number now." I elaborated on the situation theatrically, feigning that I had never driven in my life. "I am far too old for that nonsense." "Then what about any other form of ID?" he asked, his patience clearly wearing thin. I shot back, "I have a student ID from 1955. At that point, he transferred me to another representative. I thought I might lose my opportunity, but I would not let that deter me. The second caller answered with a slightly sharper mind. The game was on once more. He, too, asked for my email, and as I repeated, "Man-meat Baldeep," he squawked. "What did you say?" I could feel a little twitch of victory hatching in my spirit. I said, "My name is Man-meat Baldeep." He continued the routine, but with a hint of annoyance creeping into his tone. Things escalated quickly. Questions flew at me one after the other. He asked me how old I was, and I coolly replied, "I am 123 years old, and I will be 124 in August." He phoned in my address next, and I proudly gave him the address of the closest police station. If he was going to waste my time, I was certainly going to waste his. The caller now had a tinge of disbelief in his voice. "None of this is adding up, ma'am." "I think you might just be wasting my time." I leaned back in my chair and grinned ear to ear. "You are goddamn right I am," I exclaimed. The tension hung thick in the air, enveloping me in a moment of pure joy and satisfaction. However, I still had one final card to play. I knew I wasn't done yet, so I put on my best sweet grandma voice, sweet as pie. "Listen here, I just want to save some money, bless your heart. Please do continue." I could hear him take a deep breath, as if aiming for patience in the midst of chaos. I wanted to relish his mounting frustration, to cling to that glimmer of hope that I could hold this call hostage. Life, however, is not always a straightforward game of revenge. As the minutes ticked by, I could hear him struggle to maintain his professionalism, but his frustration only egged me on. The questioning circled back around, back to my credit card number. I flipped my can to read the code perfectly and delivered it to him yet again. "That does not seem right, ma'am," he rebuffed. "A Visa card starts with a 4. I think you are wasting my time." I felt like a sleek cat playing with a mouse, savoring every moment. "Give me a break," I said, my tone heavy with mock disbelief. "I am giving you all this information, and you are not being very nice. Perhaps I will find another phone company." The silence on the other end hung heavily. The truth was, I relished the chaos. But something in my gut warned me that this was heading toward a climax I could not foresee. Just when I thought my plan would end with me satisfying my craving for revenge, the guy's voice hummed in disbelief, concocting an entirely different emotion in me. "Ma'am, your address was for the police station. Are you trying to pull a fast one on me?" My heart raced as I toyed with the idea of confessing simply for the sake of amusement. It was a fine line I was walking, and I found myself teetering on the edge. In a fleeting moment of realization, I understood the weight of my actions. I had to back off. "Oh my goodness gracious, dear," I exclaimed. "I would never try to waste your precious time. I am genuinely trying to solve a problem over here." But it was too late. I sensed a storm brewing as the barrier between my innocent game and the real world began blurring. "You have taken up 24 minutes of my time." "This must be the last call," he said, the finality in his voice echoed. This was my moment. Clenching my fists, I prepared my last-ditch effort, channeling all my frustration into a single statement. "How about I save both of us some time? You hang up and I will hang up and we will forget this ever happened." But as I expected, he would not take that lying down. "No, ma'am, I will not hang up. You have been wasting my time and now I will waste yours. This is where I draw the line." As he continued ranting about company policies, I let a wave of satisfaction wash over me. I had defeated him in his game of annoyance for everyone to witness. Eventually, he hung up, exasperated and empty-handed. I chuckled to myself, but it was not just the victory that validated me, it was the fact I found my voice again. I had subverted his mockery, turned it into laughter rather than despair, and reclaimed my power in the process. Yet, that wasn't the end of the story. A week later, I received another phone call from the supposed TELUS company. Fear crept in, but I was ready. "Hello," the voice chimed in a bright, cheerful tone. "We can offer you a 40% discount on your upcoming bills. May I have your current phone number?" I could not believe my ears. They were back with the same ploy, and oh how I loved this new round. With glee, I dove into another delightful round of revenge, giggling under my breath while recalling my recent adventure. I felt unstoppable, a spark reigniting within me as I recounted the antics and clever tricks. But this time, I tightened my grip on my resolve. I had the upper hand. I was no longer just a victim. The calls went on, but I had turned the monotonous experience into a source of joy, and so it all wrapped into a change. A part of me worried about their next attempt, yet with every jest and laugh that escaped my lips, I knew they were in for a surprise every time they called. I had woven myself into their system, becoming an unwitting yet mischievous participant in the same old game they were playing. My life took on a new rhythm filled with clever banter and playful exchanges, each call diverging into an undercurrent of fun and revenge against an invisible foe. As I continued to revel in my newfound power, I realized I could pour this energy into something substantial. What had begun as a simple act of revenge turned into a catalyst for embracing my humor, reminding me that even in the smallest things, I could find joy in the midst of annoyance, and sometimes a little laughter was the best way to reclaim your life.